Hello, my name is Joe Montague from allyouneedisdrums.com, and I am about to start recording a 1960s psychedelic influenced sample pack for drums on demand, which I am incredibly excited about. When Quint and Bryce got in touch with me about the potential to make this pack, I leapt at it because I think it's a brilliant idea, and I was very pleased that they asked me to do it. So here is a little behind the scenes sort of footage, if you like, about how this sample pack is going to be made. So basically, Drums on Demand works in a really unique way. It's not just me flailing about making any old random samples. They have a fairly specific structure of what needs to be delivered, and that makes sure that you as a songwriter or a track maker, however you're using these, gets exactly what you need, which is what drew me to what these guys are doing in the first place. I've got some of the sample packs and they're just so useful and convenient. It's not just sort of trawling through lots of different random things. There is some really specific things that need to happen. So with that in mind, there is a structure that I'm going to work from. And then the creativity comes in the sense that I am going to base each sort of loop pack, if you like, on either a different song or a different selection of songs that I think embody a similar idea. And I'm going to start off with a relatively blank canvas, and I'm going to sit in my kit over there and come up with some ideas. And rather than capturing those ideas as that's the final thing, I'm going to write them all down and sort of think about it a little bit more than I might have done by just randomly doing it. So hopefully give you guys the most useful stuff that I can for your sort of songwriting or however you're going to use these packs. So I've made a playlist of tracks that I quite enjoy. I put a shout out on my Instagram for people to suggest songs from the late 60s that they think would be sort of good to work as a basis from, and there's some great stuff on the list. I mean, off the top of my head, there's some zombie stuff, Jimi Hendrix, obviously the Beatles, Seeds, 13th Floor Elevators, Small Faces, Tommy Rowe, King Crimson. I mean, there's tons of stuff. I've got more stuff there than I could ever need, but I'm quite excited about, and I'm relishing the opportunity to just sort of go through all this stuff and see what I can come up with. My kind of feeling on it is that I don't want to copy what's already out there. I don't want to just make a sort of pack based on exactly the same stuff. I want to kind of take that as a starting point and then germinate that into wherever my creativity takes me, hopefully, and that will hopefully be all inspired by 60s psychedelia. So it will have a 60s psychedelia flavor to it, but it will be something sort of unique and modern, vintage inspired modern, that will be then useful for present day working. There's some technical details that you may or may not find interesting. If I move this camera around, you can see my drum kit over there, which is a nice old Ludwig. And then I've got my workstation here with some lovely outboard gear, some nice valve pre's and all sorts of stuff. And then tucked in the corner over here, if you can just see behind that 4-track, there is a pair of stereo spring reverbs set up, which will be going in parallel on every single track. Whether they make it to the final edit, I'm not really sure. It might be a very cool thing to include as a little bonus for each set of stems. And I'll temper the spring depending on what I'm feeling for each thing. But to have some nice analog spring would just be beautiful for this pack. So that runs alongside my template. So every track I do will be that. Will have that sort of fully wet spring reverb alongside it. I'm sure you'll have noticed there's rather a lot of mics on the kit. Now, my intention is certainly not to use all of those microphones. However, this does need to be usable in a modern context. So there may be the tiniest pinch of salt in what I decide to do mix-wise for these drums. Having said that, the sort of engineers from the late 60s managed to do it very well without lots of newfangled modern equipment. So I hope that I'm able to achieve somewhere close to what they did. But yeah, not all of these mics will be usable. This is my permanent setup. My intention is to make it as close to 60s as I can while still retaining enough cut through that it's usable as a modern songwriter, because after all, that is the intention of what is going to go on here. I'm enjoying the challenge of getting the sounds. I'm enjoying the challenge of sort of bursting my creativity from a distinctive beat in a song that already exists. So, or, you know, often there might only be 3 or 4 fills in the whole song, whereas I'm going to have to try and find 8 or 9 different fills that would be useful for you. And that's the whole point of this, is I'm trying to think from your perspective as a user, what are you going to find most useful?